And now we're going to go back to sort of where we started, and that was with Lori. There are certainly a lot of veterans here tonight, and a lot of young people who should take the opportunity to pick the brains of some of the folks who are around here, because they have a lot of institutional knowledge. And one of those vets was Lori Groover, who your student award tonight was named after. And for those who are new to this, I'm going to tell you she was a trailblazer. She was one of the first athletic trainers, as we said, hired full-time in this state. And she was important to how this organization developed. She, as we said earlier as well, was the VP of GATA and even served as the president. So this award tonight is in her honor. And accepting that award, wait, do we want to go ahead and have maybe Tom speak first? Let's do that, and then Tom Bair was a colleague and a good friend of hers, and has some kind things to say.
First, I'd like to thank you all for being here while we do this. And one of the first things Lori would say would be congratulations to all of your award winners. Scholarships, people who won different awards. That don't look at it as the end of your journey. This is just recognition and validation of good work that you've done in the past, and also a pronouncement of the expectations you now have in the future. So you can't stop working just because you got an award. That would be something Lori would put it. And to speak about Lori is, it's always an honor. This is the third or fourth time I've had the opportunity to do this. And it's always special. The other talks I've given about Lori focused more on some of the leadership stuff that she did to help people leverage their energy to produce results for association. And it's other talks we talked about how she would use the word no when she asked someone to participate in the task, and that person would tell her no. She'd listen and find out. It was either no, I'm afraid I'm going to fail, no, I don't have the skills, or no, I don't have buy-in to the project. Whatever no Lori heard, she was always able to twist it around and talk that person through that and display some good leadership to get the project done for the benefit of everybody. The other thing with Lori is that if you're in this room, she's touched your life somehow. You may never know, may never have met her, but it's like that game or whatever, 7 degrees of separation from a bacon sandwich. It's not, somehow Lori's involved with your life professionally, and the profession's better for it. So, but tonight I want to talk just briefly about some of the stuff I've learned from watching her grow into a leadership position. Dana talked a little bit about some of her accomplishments here, but she's also served on some national committees and was Secretary of Southeast Athletic Training Association, and did good work with those things. Now I want to talk a little bit about the balance, how Lori would balance the professional, personal. We all struggle with that work-life balance, except for Jerry Ray because he's retired. But everybody else struggles with that work-life balance. And it's watching Lori do it, try to figure out how she did it that made her go. And on the professional side, our profession is give and take. Right? Lori, she took great responsibility in the athletes she was working with. She took good accountability for the association she was involved with. She took great pride in the profession as a whole. And what she gave was good health care. She gave her leadership. She gave of herself. And on the professional side, that was what was in the goo that was in the center of Lori, the give and take. On the personal side, I used the phrase once before that 61 days from her diagnosis until her death, and then a lot changes in 61 days. And you don't know when it'll happen. You look to your right, you look to your left, The person may not be there in 61 days. You absolutely never know. One of Lori's memberships was into the Noonan Mafia, a small select group of highly good-looking, intelligent people that I'm not sure how they're selected, but one of the Noonan Mafia members was Jeff Porter, and I'm sure you all know about the tragedy he went through recently. And Jim Lovell, he's another Noonan Mafia member. And I talked with Jim just after tragedy happened with Jeff, and it was almost as hard on Jim as it was because they're so close. And he said, well, what's the advice, or is there anything we can do? He said, no, Jeff just wanted to make sure you tell anybody that asked to hug the family, hug the people that you love. Make sure that you do that, because you never know. Lori's example, in 61 days. Now make sure you take care of the people that's important to you. And Lori did that on the personal side. So she had the give and take of her professional side. And on the personal side, it was pretty much humor and joy. Bobby and Sandy may not agree with that raising her, because I love Lori, but I wouldn't want to be your parents. And it was one of the things that personally that I liked about her was how reverent she was about her irreverence. Nothing was out of bounds when it came to comedy and humor. She stayed at our house a couple times. At the time, my daughter was 10 or 11, and had a sign on the door. She was establishing her independence. Please knock. So Lori, Jeannie, and I were out on the front porch. Every time Lori would walk by, she knocked on the door. Haley would open the door, look around, shut the door. Lori did that 5 or 6 times within an hour. Finally, Haley figured out that Lori was being a practical joke. And that's okay. She's my daughter, 10-year-old girl. She's picking on her. But she had a sister that I think it was about age 10 or 12 before the sister believed her parents, instead of Lori, that she wasn't adopted. Lori convinced the sister that she was adopted for a very long time. Oftentimes, I wasn't a part of it, but Jeannie and Lori would sit on the front porch and make prank phone calls, just not to random people. One evening they called sister's husband, Lori's brother-in-law, and said that Mr. Bobby, if you haven't got a chance to meet him, you need to meet him, that said Mr. Bobby was arrested in a casino in Biloxi for counting cards, and he got belligerent and destroyed it. Brother-in-law, God, this is 2 in the morning. They were, Jeannie and Lori were part of it. I don't think I was there. But brother-in-law was out the door. I mean, he had his pants on, shoes on, and then finally they gave it up. When she did all these jokes, another quick one, Haley was at church lock-in one time, and Lori called her and said that she would win tickets to the Hannah Montana concert if she could name the horse. It was a radio call, and she named the name of Hannah Montana's first horse. Haley dropped the phone and went crazy. But the way Lori did these things was she always made the person that was the butt of the joke was always the one that would laugh the hardest. It may take 2 or 3 weeks, but the person that was the butt of the joke always bought into it and enjoyed Lori's humor. So how does she balance all this personal stuff and the professional stuff that kept her ball rolling? And so I'm going to go through this description of how I think she did it. And I'm sure that when I'm done, if Lori was here, she would say, dude, what the hell were you talking about? So just bear with me. So we're all a squeeze ball. The squeeze ball you do exercise with. You got goo on the inside. You got all your personal stuff, your family, your children, your pets, your cars, your mortgage, all that stuff. And then you got the professional stuff. You want to do a good job, people get hurt, people get injured, you want to learn how to take care of them. And it's always a battle. And I never really saw Lori compartmentalize everything. She didn't leave the office and leave everything behind her. And when she got to work, she was still thinking of other things. Everybody does that. Some people are really good at drawing definitive boundaries and saying, all right, computer's off, I'm going to go walk the dog and enjoy the day, whatever. But with Lori, to keep herself going, if you think of the ball of goo, all that stuff that makes you up, if the center of gravity of that ball changes, then the ball rolls a little bit. So I think what was important to Lori professionally and personally, is change the center of gravity of the ball and it would roll. Sometimes she knew that the ball needed to roll fast, sometimes she would slow it down. And so that's not really a balance. So I think what my experience with Lori is that the balance she had that made her so efficient was that she was, and I don't mean this derogatory, she was unbalanced. Right? She knew at times where it was time to buckle down and do some reports. It was time to get ready for playoff games. And then she also knew that there were times in Panama City a few years ago, she bought t-shirts that I got crabs at Dick's Crab Shack. So she kept that ball rolling because she was able to mix all the stuff in her life. And everyone in this Hall of Fame has a good work ethic. They're all smart. Science tells us we're 99% identical, everybody on this planet. But there's that 1% that makes people different. And to me, I think that was what, I learned a lot about the time I got to spend with Lori. And it's an honor to speak about her again, and anytime I'll ask, I'll be glad to do it.
Lori passed away in 2009 at the end of the summer after a short illness. But her parents are here tonight to accept this award on her behalf. Sandy, I think you are selecting to stay seated, perhaps, but her father, Bobby, I think wants to come up and say a few words. We'd love to have you.
Thank you, Dana and Tom, for those kind words about Lori. I didn't recognize her there for a minute with all those words I heard. But I want to apologize up front for being a little disoriented right now, so I may sound like I'm off in a tangent somewhere. We started off wrong. We got ready to go, and 5 minutes before we left, I started looking for my checkbook. Well, I'm from the old school. I still write checks. So we wasted about 45 minutes trying to find my checkbook. We turned over everything in the house, never did find it. So anyway, we start out, and I set the old cruise on about 40, and we come on, and Lori accused me of that, and we come on down the interstate and get here. Well, lo and behold, I get here, and then I can't find my hair comb or my hairbrush. It's been a bad day. And again, I want to thank you all for inviting Sandy and myself up here. We're certainly appreciative of that and wanted to be here for this presentation today and for this induction of Lori. We wouldn't have missed it. And two, we want to congratulate all of the other awardees and inductees and any award that was presented today to the other folks. We don't want to take anything away from them. We want to thank the GATA Executive Board for those who supported Lori's induction into the Hall of Fame. This is truly a tremendous honor for Lori, for her family and her friends, and her co-workers and everybody else who was associated with Lori. This induction into the Hall of Fame, along with the leadership awards that are presented, will serve to continue her legacy and to help keep her memory alive. It's been almost 2.5 years since Lori passed. And Sandy and I, just 2 weeks ago, it got to a point where we could start looking through some of her personal stuff, pictures and mementos and albums. And it's been very difficult, but her spirit is still with us. We talk to her practically every day. Sometimes I just look up at the sky and say, shake my head and say, okay, Lord, I know it's you. Whatever I'm doing, I can tell what she's playing with me. Just like he tried to close his door a while ago. How's Lord? For those recipients of the Lori Mobley Groover Leadership Awards, I urge you to set goals for yourself and do your best at whatever you're doing at that time and preparing for the future. Lori's primary goal one day was to become a trainer for a professional team, whether it was baseball, basketball, softball, volleyball, whatever. That was her goal. And I think if she would have had the time, she might have eventually made it. She was that driven. She had a goal and she had a plan on how to get there. And that's what you should be doing. You can continue to build on Lori's legacy and her memory, and also by doing the same thing to your own legacy and memories that you do. And this award carries with it certain responsibilities. Mentoring and helping those that you can. That's the responsibility of all of us. Concerned about health and safety of everybody, athletes. Don't let others influence your decisions about what is right to do something for an athlete, whether it be pressure from a coaching staff, administration, or whatever. And I see the politics of it all the time as I officiate sports. And I know it gets extremely difficult for an athletic trainer to deal with those problems at times, to do the right thing when there's so much pressure to do it the other way. You know, a coaching staff. Make sure now he's ready to get back in the game at halftime when we come back. Whatever happens, I want him back in the game. I've seen that happen before. But if you're committed and if you're doing the job you're supposed to, you won't let that happen. Be aggressive. Lord didn't just sit back and wait for things to happen. She was aggressive, and she went in there and made things happen. And don't compromise your ethics and your values again. And when you accomplish something in your career as you advance, remember those who helped you along the way. None of us, I don't care what profession we're in, we don't get there by ourselves. People help us. Could be a family member, a teacher, a friend, a peer, a coach, whatever. But somebody helps us along the way. Remember those people. And at the same time, helping others to get where you are going or where they want to go in their career. And I've always had the utmost appreciation for athletic trainers, primarily because of Lori. But I see it as I still officiate sports. I know what you do is not just for athletes, it's for the coaching staff, it's for fans, it's for parents. It's whoever needs help, and you're the first one on the spot. And I experience that every year officiating sports. I take 3 or 4 or 5 foul tips on the mask on baseball occasionally. Some of them glance off, and they don't hurt quite as bad. But I was at South Effingham High School, I think it was last year, the playoff game. And I got one of those that comes straight into the mask. It didn't glance off. And I got the stars and instant headaches, and I stumbled a little bit. Well, the first one to see about it was not my fellow officials, but the athletic trainer. I don't remember his name, but he was at South Effingham High School. And that's just an example of what y'all do. And I even stumbled a little bit, and he noticed that. He said, all those are symptoms of concussion. Well, I knew that. Of course, he reminded me. And I said, I stumbled because, well, you know, right around the home plate is usually dirt and then there's grass. I stumbled, you know, it was at least a 1/16 of an inch high. And that caused me to stumble. He didn't believe that, but he was right on target. It wasn't a mild concussion, I'm sure. But he was right there to help me. And I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I know you're busy. It's Friday, and I don't know what athletic trainers do on a Friday night or whatever. I can remember Lori telling me some things, so I don't want to hear what you're But again, we are extremely grateful and appreciative of this induction of Lori. into the GATA Hall of Fame. Her memory and legacy will live on through this award and all of the great things that all of you do in athletic training. And with that, just to reiterate one or two of the things I've said, to do the best in whatever you do. I don't care what it is, do the very best. Plan for the future. Always aware of your ultimate goal, what you want out of life. Make contacts, do your networking. People say, well, they got that job because they knew somebody. Well, there's nothing wrong with that. Networking and making contacts, that's life. That's how you get where you're going to be, as long as you don't step on somebody else to get there. But use those contacts. And again, remember those who helped you along the way, because none of us got where we're getting by ourselves. Thank you very much.